So all the friends from the different medias, I would like to give a thanks to all of you for your presence today for our joint press conference for the Vote for Parents' Rights, which is organized by an organization representing over 100 multi-ethnic and multi-faith organizations. 我嘅名字叫做樂希，我係今日嘅大會司儀。My name is Edwin, and I will be the master of ceremony of today's press conference. 咁喺開始我哋今日嘅記者招待會嘅時候咧，先咧，我哋會為你介紹我哋今日座上嘅所有發言嘅嘉賓嘅排名不分先後，我哋先為你介紹咧，我哋由左至右開始。我哋有嚟自多倫多天主教華人聯會嘅江如天先生。So I would like to take this opportunity to introduce all the panel speakers for you.
Good morning, media friends and ladies and gentlemen. And one of the things we would like to let you know is that our conference actually has a platform of non-biased and non-promotional background for the event. And so we are not promoting any party or candidates or any other persons. So let us keep this way for our press conference. 各位好，我哋嗰個嘅大會咧係呢個嘅唔會幫邊個黨派或者邊個候選人嘅，咁所以咧係希望大家都一樣係咁做嘅。咁首先咧，我會講講今次大會嗰個嘅目的。So I'd like to firstly introduce why we have this press conference. The press conference is actually providing a platform for various multi-ethnic and multicultural organizations to express the view on parental rights and the caring for the children and their future. The reason for that is that during the election time, the provincial election time now, not much is talked about or discussed about or actually decided about this one. So we would like to consider getting this parental right and caring for the future of the children to be an agenda and a decision factor for voters, so that they can actually, besides considering economy, employment and other aspects which are important, of course, but also this very equally important factor. Because for whatever government and whatever party, they will do more or less the same for the kind of economy and employment. It's a matter of, subtracting and adding or whatever a certain amount of sum. Other than that, it's more or less the same. But this fundamental right is a bit different, because without this right, then everything will change in the future, because it will change our future by changing our children. And without the parents' way of decision, because the parents know their children best, so it's the best way to do is to make this agenda for the decision making for voting. And so this is why we are here. So before we get onto other conclusions, so may I thank all our honorable guests coming here and our colleagues actually coming here, and also thank all the media for actually participating, because without you, I don't think that there would be anything happening here at all. 好多謝大家。原因咧就係多謝我哋嗰個媒介咧，能夠將我哋而家今次嘅信息係放出去。個信息就係喺呢個嘅大選嘅期間啦，呢個省嘅大選期間咧，其實好重要嘅一個議題咧，就係呢個家長嘅權利同埋呢個嘅細蚊仔嘅將來。因為經濟或者就業或者之類嘅嘢，每一個政府每一個政黨咧，其實做嘅嘢咧都唔會爭得太遠。但係如果萬一喺呢個細蚊仔嘅前途，佢因為佢受教育嘅影響咗佢嘅前途之後咧，就影響咗我哋安省或者甚至乎加拿大嘅前途咧，係會好多嘅。咁但係家長係最容易了解佢自己細蚊仔，咁所以咧亦都係佢哋 本來就應該有一個基本嘅權利，點樣決定佢細蚊仔去點受乜嘢嘅教育，尤其是例如性教育啊，你一陣會聽得比較更多㗎啦。咁所以咧，我哋希望能夠俾每一個嘅多元嘅族裔同埋多元宗教、多元文化嘅我哋呢啲嘅講者咧，係表達佢哋每一個會嘅自己嘅意見。So may I ask our MC to start the panel discussion and also let our individual organizations to express their opinion and stance on voting for parental rights.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Mr. Peter Chen is the facilitator of today's panel and the chairman of Toronto Chinese Catholic Task Force. 喺呢度咧，再一次多謝就係多倫多天主教華人聯會嘅召集人陳嘉蓮教授。咁先咧，我哋就會邀請我哋第一位嘅講者，就係嚟自多倫多華人天主教聯會嘅胡錦標先生。So I would like to invite Mr. Peter Wu from Toronto Chinese Catholic Task Force to start his presentation, and we have 2 minutes for every speaker.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Evan. I'm Peter Wu. I'm representing the Toronto Chinese Catholic Task Force. Many of our members are also parents of students attending Catholic and public schools in the Greater Toronto area. We are concerned with the deterioration of our school systems, in particular, the proposed sex education curriculum in early grades, and equity and inclusive education policy fought by the Minister of Education to our school systems. As members of the Chinese culture, we consider moral and family values very important in our education system. During the process of these policies, parents were not consulted and our concerns were not considered. We appeal to all party leaders and candidates in this Ontario election to please hear parental requests to support parental rights in education. We respect all people and we also want to be respected. Give us back our basic rights, social, moral, religious, and parental. We also appeal to all Ontario voters. The forthcoming Ontario provincial election gives Ontarians the opportunity to vote for candidates who respect and defend the rights of the people, parents, and children. Candidates who will pledge to end this excessive intervention by the state, which threatens personal freedoms. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ricky Wu。跟住我哋下一位咧，我哋會邀請 Miss Gwen Landos 係由加拿大新婦女聯會嘅代表話我哋發言嘅。So I would like to invite Miss Gwen Landos, who is the National Vice President of Real Women of Canada, to present her point of view to us. So, Miss Gwen, please.
Real Women, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Real Women of Canada is deeply concerned about the policy introduced in Ontario by the Liberal government in 2008 with the objective of supposedly promoting diversity and inclusion in the schools. In fact, this policy is both destructive and discriminatory. It prohibits parents from exercising their right as the first and primary educators of their children in accordance with Article 26.3 of the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which requires that, quote, parents have a prior right to choose the kind of education shall be given to their children, unquote. This policy is highly objectionable that parents are forbidden to opt their children out of these biased and controversial classes, which may promote values contrary to their faith and beliefs. The EIE policy is also discriminatory in that it singles out for recognition and special treatment a special interest group, but denies those with differing moral values and approaches from receiving equal treatment and recognition under the policy. The government policy is destructive and therefore completely unacceptable. It should be immediately removed from the school curriculum in the province of Ontario. The Canadian and Ontario parents have been ignored, have been ordered and pushed around without any discretion on their part. This is offensive to the democratic way of life and to our concepts of democracy in Canada. Therefore, we can never, ever accept what Mr. McGuinty is attempting to impose on the Canadian and the Ontario parents and children. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Randall. And now I would like to invite Reverend Dominic C. from the Jubilee Center of Christian to present his point of view to us. 我哋呢個時候咧，有請謝安國牧師嚟自基督教晨曦中心咧，我哋去講講佢自己對於呢個議題嘅個人意見。有請。
I will first speak in English and briefly in Chinese. I don't want to repeat what Gwen just said. I think it's very clear that the provincial government over the past several years have been pushing the so-called equity and inclusive strategy. And it turns out that it is neither equal nor inclusive. It is trying to impose a radicalized sexual education curriculum, only to abandon it because of public outcry from concerned parents and pastors and other people. And but what is most troubling about the whole strategy is that in Kathleen Wayne's, the previous Minister of Education's word is, this is why I believe it is critical for us to articulate an equity and inclusive education strategy for Ontario schools, embracing diversity and moving beyond tolerance to acceptance. And you read between the lines, that means embracing diversity. It means accepting diversity and accepting the values of homosexual lifestyles and other diverse lifestyles by celebrating the Pride Parade. Another major objective of the EIE strategy is to require the students see themselves reflected in the curriculum and in their physical surroundings. In the Toronto District School Board document challenging homophobia and anti-heterosexism, released in early 2011, which was a brainchild of this policy. In the name of anti-bullying against students with diverse sexual orientations and gender identity, that document seeks to challenge the so-called biases of heterosexism in the curriculum by deconstructing, throwing away traditional or heterosexual notions of gender identity, sexual orientation, and family. Students as young as kindergarten are exposed to the homosexual lifestyle, to experiment with different gender roles, to celebrate the Pride Parade at school. I think the most troubling aspect of the EIE strategy is the exclusion of parental participation. A little known fact is in February 2010, the McGuinty government passed Bill 157, the Keep Our Kids Safe at School Act, which requires principals to notify the victims of inappropriate behaviors, unless, this is a very important sentence, it is decided that doing so would cause the victim further harm. So in other words, principals do not have to report to the parents if they decided not to. Making the school officials having an overriding authority over our parents is a matter of grave concern. Who give them this authority? And in the TDSB document, it's clear